Okay, we got our last piece here we want to put in place, and there's really only one orientation it'll go, and that's like this, because it has a bevel on the top to kind of meet up with the angles on these. And it fits in place really easily. There's actually probably a 30/2 of an inch gap on each side, but it'll snug up good and tight when we put the nails in. And this wood, there's actually a very slight bow to it. It bows that way. It's like it's bowing towards the back of the cabinet or the back of the control panel a little bit. Now I'm showing you extreme. It's really just very, very minor. If you look down the length of the wood, you probably can't even tell it. I don't know if you can see that in the video, but you can't even tell it. It looks almost perfectly flat, but if you lay this on something flat like that, you can't tell, but it just barely rocks out and back like that, just barely. If you turn it upside down like that, then when you press on it, you feel a little bow right here in the center. It's like you're pushing down and it's flattening it just slightly. But it's very minor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the piece of wood in place, but I'm going to glue the sides, and I'm only going to put a little bit of glue right here and a little bit of glue right here, because until this is lifted up from this temporary board it's on, I can't get to the underside to run nails up into this from the underside, because we're going to have to glue it, we're going to have to nail it on each side, and then we're going to have to nail it from the underside. But I can't get to the underside until all this stuff sets up and I take it off the temporary board. So what I'm going to do right now is just nail it on either side, glue it on either side, a little bit of glue right there and a little bit of glue right there, just to kind of get it held in place good. Because all I want to do tomorrow is, once this is set up and I take this off temporary board, I want to be able to flex this inward slightly. And when I flex it inward slightly, then I can run nails from the bottom and it will perfectly flatten it out. It'll be a lot more true. But I mean, it's not very far off at all now. It's just, I want to be a little picky about that one thing. I mean, right now you can barely feel it has just the tiniest bit, maybe a 30/2 of an inch overhang right here, dead center, if you feel down here, if this end and this end's trued up. But we'll go ahead and get that glued now and get ready to put some nails in it. Put a little glue on this surface and then on each side there. Excuse me. Making a little bit of a gluey mess. And I forgot to put a little bit along the bottom there on each little side, but that's okay because some of that's squished in. I'm not really concerned about it. Tomorrow I'm just going to nail it from the underside, but it's going to be plenty strong. I should have put just a little bit right there and there, but see, you can see right there, some of it's kind of running into that crevice. I just wanted a little bit at the corner part, and I think it's running in there by itself. Need to get some of this excess glue. us a nail started on one side here. Already cracked. Already want to crack over here. On the crack, and I don't know anything I can do about it. I can pre-drill it maybe, but I need to get some nails in it right now. Be right back. Maybe my drill's charged up. Another step that I didn't think I was going to have to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-drill some small holes so that it doesn't split out on the outside layer of the plywood. The outside layer of the plywood seems to be fragile near the corners. When you get real close to the edge and you try to drive a nail in it, it wants to split. Well, once you get the nail on the inside layers, most likely it's glued pretty hard and it's not going to split. So we're going to pre-drill through the outside layer only, just far enough down in there to get the nail in there and let it get a bite. And we're using a drill bit here. Drill bit is about the same size as the shaft of the nail. Hopefully you're seeing that. We just pre-drill just enough to get the snail in there without splitting the wood. Hopefully. Make sure my line on the back looks good. Birds talking in the background. Hush, birdie. That's much better. Would have worked out better up here front if I would have done that first, but but that's already done. So. And we need to get a nail in on this other side over here before the glue sets up. We'll go ahead and just blunt it a little bit. Pre-drill us a hole over here. Just going at a little bit of a downward angle here. The important thing is to get the wood lined up properly. Good. And it didn't split. That's a good thing.
Hello.
Hello. Now my bird thinks he's a cat. Hello. Can you say hello to the YouTubers? Pre-drill a little bit on that one. I'm going to blunt this. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it pointed. It looks pretty good on the right hand side. Now let's do that side. I'm going to do a little pre-drill to it too, because I'm tired of the wood splitting. We're not pre-drilling all the way, just a little bit, just to get it to the point that it won't split on the outside layer. Wiping a little bit of the excess glue out. Not too much excess anyways. Okay, that's two nails in each side. They're not quite countersunk. We're going to do that in a few minutes. We'll set them. But I want to put a third one in on both the left and the right side. Hello? Why don't you go to sleep, Chewy? Okay, it's the third one on that side. Okay, that's the third one on both sides. Every time you drive a nail, you'll probably have a little glue squirt out, so just check it. If you have some excess, just wipe it a little bit. Keep you a damp rag or a damp paper towel around. We're going to go ahead and set these nails. I-Pac. Got one side. Now let's do this side. By the way, I'm putting my leg up here to put a little weight on this to keep the board from sliding around on the table. Sorry guys, the camera died last night on me. This is the next day, and I had to kind of leave what I was doing, but I was pretty much finished with the back panel here. And the noise you hear, sorry, the washing machine is running in the background, and I can't do nothing about it right now. We're in the middle of a load, so just bear with me. Anyway, the back panel has been fastened in and it's glued. Everything's in place, and really all that's left to do is pull this stuff up, put in the last few nails in the bottom of this panel here that needs to be in there, and the box will be finished pretty much. All the glue's set up. Hopefully the wax paper will pull loose from it freely, but the first thing we have to do is take the small nails from the inside on this bottom panel loose so that we can get the box up. I'm going to pull the nails up just a little bit first and then use this block of wood so I don't put too much marring on the inside of the panel. Okay, we got one up. One nail. Second one. There's the third one. Fourth one, two more. Got the fifth one, and the last one. And it's going to be the hardest to get. I got it a little close to the edge of the panel. There we go. There's the last one. Now let's just pray that this actually just moves around or lifts up straight from this MDF board. I'm pretty sure it will. I think the hardest thing will be getting the wax paper off the back of this. Okay, came right up. Okay, just stuff a little bit. Turn the box once over. You can see we have a lot of seepage here. I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, you can see it. That glue has got under there and glued where the wax paper is a little bit to the bottom of the panel. But hopefully it should come right off and we can sand that. We think we'll breathe. Okay, well that's all off, but like you see, we've got some paper left sticking. And what doesn't peel off, we can sand down. There it is. You can tell there's a good bit of excess glue leaked in on this part here, and a good bit kind of across through there. Even like places like this where it's a little bit of a lump, you could take a sharp utility knife with a straight blade and just scrape a little bit of that off if you want to. But if you've ever seen the inside of arcade cabinets and stuff like that, there's places where you can see a little bit of glue residue that has come out between two pieces that have been sandwiched with a little glue in between there. And it's no big problem, really. It just lets you know that there is plenty of glue in between there holding it. And you're never going to see the underside of this unless you get down on the floor and you're looking up, and you know, there's only going to be maybe an 1.5 inch reveal on each side of this cabinet. So you will see some of that if you was to get in there and look. But like I say, once I sand it down, it'll probably look like there was a problem there, and it'll be perfectly flush across through there. But I'll let you see close up. See, we got a little wax paper and glue still stuck on there, just a little bit. Doesn't bother me at all, it just lets me know that the glue got into the joint good. A whole lot of excess glue come through underneath the edge there. But all that, like I say, it'll just sand down, come right off. And again, there's like a bead of the glue where we press that together. Just sealed that gap up real good, so that's fine. Just sand it down. And this is our back side here that we did. That was away from the camera last night. And all we got to do now is come back and put some nails in here. We're going to go down through here, put the nails in. And that'll finish this back panel. And this had all the glue. This was the front panel where the majority of the glue was. It's the very first piece that we put in place. And the glue, you know, I really put a good bit of glue on there, so it's not surprising there's that much on there. But I'm going to put the camera in place, and I'm just going to show you the process of putting a few nails in the back piece to finish this off. And here's our little tiny nail holes that was holding the control panel temporarily in place so that we could put all this together against the MDF. And they're real small holes, you know, it's nothing that's ever going to be seen. This is going to be completely hidden when the control panel's in place. You might see it just a little bit on the inside, but like I say, it's just little pinholes. They don't, on the inside, they don't, any of them look any worse than that right there. And the I-Pacs and stuff like that, depending on where they're mounted, they might cover that completely up. Or you could put a tiny dab of wood filler in there, sand it if you want to, but it's not going to bother me. Make sure you guys can still see this. Put some nails across through here. There's really no way to add any extra glue because everything's already sandwiched together, but I don't think it's ever going to move, but I'm just going to go ahead and put some nails in. And just to be safe on this, since it is near the edge, I'm going to go ahead and pre-drill. I've got my drill handy. first one I'm going to put in, I'm going to go ahead and put right dead center almost. That way, like I said, this back panel's got just a slight bow to it that flexes out. I'm just going to push it in just a little by hand. It's easy to flex. I'm going to flex it in by hand just a little bit, pre-drill the hole, and I'm going to come back, put the nail in, and I'm going to hold it while I've got it flexed in some so that it'll perfectly square that up with the bottom piece of this. I'm only drilling down a little less than half of this panel here just to keep it from splitting. I don't think the rest of it's going to split. But I'm still going to blunt the end of my nail just a little bit. It's an old trick you use to keep from splitting wood. Just blunt the tip a little bit. Get this started. And we're going to flex it in to flush it up by hand. It's just about dead flush right now. Looks good. Just leave the nail head barely sticking up, just the little BB on top, basically. We're going to put 2 more in here and 2 more in over here. At the end of our nail a little. And you shouldn't have to hold the back anymore. I've got it squared up. And I'm going to lift this up just to see that my nails aren't running out on the inside. And here we are. I don't know if you can see or not. Looks good. Nothing's running out. Get 1 more in right here. Pre-drill it first. And you don't have to be perfect on your spacing here, just eyeball it. None of this will ever be seen. Put 2 more here. Looking good on the inside. Last one. good all the way across. All we have to do is set the nails now. Looks good on both sides. I'll just show you this up close real quick. That's the inside of the back panel. The nails are running like towards the camera on the inside of that wood down from the bottom panel. Or the, excuse me, yeah, the bottom panel. No run out. Looks good there. There's where we put our nails in. Just makes little dimples, little small holes. And then here's our back, where the nails run down in there. Now if you run your nail in crooked, you are going to come out the side of this wood, either on the outside or the inside. So just be careful when you're doing that to try to eyeball as best you can. If you have to, you can stand down the end of the wood right here and look down through the other end and see if it looks like the nail is angled in such a way that it might run out of the other piece of wood it's going into. It looks good all the way down. And with short nails like this, that kind of a problem is not as tough. But if you got those long, like the 8D nails, those things are long enough that they'll go in and look, they're going in good about halfway, and then during the last half of the nail, it'll probably run out either on this side of the wood or the other side. You have to be real careful with those. Pre-drilling with those is a pretty good thing to do, and you would want to pre-drill with a bit that's a good bit smaller than the nail, just enough to keep it from splintering and splitting the wood, but still leaving enough wood for it to grab and for it to be a tight connection, leave good holding. But we're pretty much done, guys. Just gonna flip this over right quick. Sorry about that little cut there, but there's our box. All together, all finished. Looks pretty good. Now my nephew's coming over in a little bit. I've got to go do some grocery shopping with the wife. So much fun. But as soon as she's ready, we're going to go do that. And when I come back, I'm going to get my nephew to help me take the main cabinet outside. And we're going to try to mark it up to cut out the sides of the panels. Here's the main cabinet. Oh, it's a little dark in here. I've got a spotlight in the kitchen there. But we're going to cut this out right here. And I believe the way I want to do it is come up right here about an inch and come down a few inches and come across. And that'll cut out the place for the control panel.